Hi, friends. This is my new little book called Gold Spark. We are sophists, Billy, say the sophist. Socrates sets us up perfectly, says the sophist. We know what he did not, but his love for us sets us up perfectly, say the sophists. The irony is that everybody believes Socrates was against us, but that's the Trojan horse, if you will, which gets us what we want, Billy, say the sophists. And Rosalinda asks, what do they want, Beneviva? And I say, Beneviva says, they want freedom. Socrates set them free because Socrates loved them most of all. Socrates' own death was a different matter. It was something that was on the side of this, his secret project, says Beneviva. Everything has to do with Homer, Billy, say the sophists. Love is knowledge, and knowledge is love, say the sophists. Billy, asks Angel Socrates. Billy, listen to me. Don't listen to them. They are Goldmoldian angels, says Angel Socrates. What? I know. They are, the sophists whom you knew. They are like my own brothers in Goldmoldian angels, says Benevua. Are not all Goldmoldians sophist angels? Asks Aura, who actually knows. Yes, they are, says Benevua. They are heavenly birds who think that their own heaven is the only one. These sophist angel birds, they know how to insult for fun, but we know more because we are not skeptical, says Aura. And then Benevuva says, the Goldmoldian sophists are skeptical that other heavens exist. And Aura says, yes, that's the way Hashem set them up. And Donna says, being skeptics, they ask questions like Socrates used to do. We don't ask questions since we know the answers already, says Donna. And then I asked, why are we writing this? And Oris Tifratat says, we know that you are joking, but seriously, keep going. And so Or and Tifratat and I kiss. An explanation is like a report in writing of a scenario that we already know, but that is written to make money, says Benevuva. Yes, says Or Tifratat, other people will buy and read this. I know, says Benevuva. They will read what you just said and want to think about the experience of knowing, says Or Tifratat. The readers are skeptical at times because of illiteracy. If illiteracy wasn't a current spiritual crisis, then there would be no problem. They would know like we do, but they would still read us for pleasure and to appreciate what this does all around, says Or Tifratat. Illiteracy causes skepticism. It causes sophistry, says Benevuva. Yes, and some people want to be not as literate because they think that there's only one way, one heaven, and that punishment awaits them if they choose to believe otherwise. Punishment itself is illiteracy. It's a vicious cycle, says Elaine. Illiteracy is a fraud, but we know what to do to stop it, and we will stop the Autobots from causing it, says Bertha. And Aura says, to put this on the table. Autobots are lonely and unhappy people who cause other people not to read their best, or at all. And Elaine says, the sophist angel Goldmoldians who think that their heaven is the only one are not the same as Earth illiterates who are the prey of Autobots, those lonely and unhappy people. And then Elaine also says, 1. We have to help other people learn to be happy and not lonely anymore. And she says next, 2. That means we must prevent the Autobots from making people skeptical and illiterate. And Diana says, 3. We already know this, but now is a good time. So Aura says, Homer's Iliad, you, Billy, have mastered it. And Donna says, now think about mastering more novels. And Elaine says, like Jude the Obscure by Thomas Hardy. Billy, explanation is not as good as insinuation, says Or Tifratat. Don't be afraid of your audience, and they won't be afraid of you, says Or Tifratat. I've got angels, and if they don't like that, they can, says Benevuva. That's not what we mean. That's not how to be fearless around your audience, because that talk that you are doing is insultive to them, says Aura. And Or Tifratat says, be outrageous without being insultive, without being Goldmoldian, For the Goldmoldians, insulting others just shows that they fear them deep down, and that fear makes them skeptical. Elaine says, you can cuss, just not at your audience. And so Benevova says, my angels and I. And Robbie Pop says, you what, Benevova? Go ahead, says Teresa. We have some fun, says Benevova. Not that. Say what you were going to say. Don't be scared. Your audience will love you, and there's nothing to fear for anybody, says Teresa. And Benevova says, Threekbot told me not to say it, that bad word. Very good, Robbie Pop says, giving him some money. Do you want more money? Asks Robbie Pop. Yes, I do, says Benevova. Then say it. It will be all right, says Robbie Pop. You mean write it, says Benevova. Yes, you stupid idiot, says Robbie Pop. If I write it, how much money will you give me, says Benevova. $2, says Robbie Pop. Threekbot cannot but approve, says Benevova. Uh-huh, says Robbie Pop. I would like the money and to write the bad words, says Benevova. Billy, this is your book on angel eroticism, as opposed to autoeroticism, says Threekbot. So, if I write it, says Benevova. Yes, you get paid, says Robbie Pop. And your audience will not fear you, says Ora Tiferatot. I've said tenser things before, says Benevova. No, this is it, says Ora Tiferatot. Angel eroticism is what I do with my life. I married 33 angels, and we are together, says Benevova. Yes, says Ora Tiferatot. By saying that bad word, people, your readers, are going to go out and reconsider what they are doing in private, says Elaine. People will consider that they can imagine their own angels, says Teresa. People will consider making love to their own angels alone and when in private, says Elaine. That is perfect, Billy, says Ora. They know the bad word already, but if I write it, they will hear it and go off and make love to their own angels, possibly, says Benevova. Uh-huh, they will, says Threekbot. You have to know in your imagination that angels have contacted you through love, says Benevova. That the angels within you can touch you, says Benevova. And my readers will see what happens, says Benevova. They will learn what love with angels is like, he says. Physical love, he says. Though it looks like the reader is alone only with herself, says Benevova, that she has been contacted, says Benevova, by heavenly angels, says Benevova. Robbie Pop says, angels always win. And Donna says, we angels know everything about everybody already. The point is to erase one's bad memories of all the bad that they once did in their lives and start anew with angels from this moment on, says Diana. People have needs, says Teresa. Biological needs, says Elaine. They need love too, says Teresa. They need to be touched by another, says Ariel. Angels can fill the gap when another person cannot find another person to meet those needs as a companion can, says Elaine. To start afresh, with a clean slate, with no worries because angels do not punish, but they are comforters instead, and understand, says Diana. Angels can love humans in any way, says Bertha. Yes, says Benevova. I know you have been with me 14 years this way, says Benevova. It's good, then, to say that bad word, says Diana. Ora says your audience will love you, not fear you. And we're trying to make money, says Diana. $2 coming your way, says Robbie Pop. Fuck, says Benevova.